Welcome to the Castoff. This is a show where two contestants compete by recasting your favorite actors in movies you love. I'm your host, Craig Price. Tonight we have one of the most difficult recastings in the short history of the show, as we have two great guests, Liz Serna from Nerdy Bitches podcast and Richard Jensen from the, now I'm from Boston, so we say Celtic Ray, but Celtic Ray Films, as we recast the amazing Robin Williams in Mrs. Doubtfire. Hello!
Hello!
Hello! I'm going to be doing that all night. I love that. Mrs. Doubtfire is one of my favorite movies, and Robin Williams, as you know, Liz, is one of my favorite people of all time.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's like I've recast Robin with you before, so.
That's right, because we did a whole month when Robin Williams on his 5th anniversary of his passing. So it hit me real hard. But let's start with you, Liz. What's been going on at the Nerdy Bitches podcast?
So we just finished our April theme month. We do 2 a year. So we do April and September for my birthday and for your lovely wife, Heather's birthday. And we just did an entire month of Keanu Reeves films called Keanu Weeks. And we covered Point Break, Speed, The Matrix, and what was the last one?
Always Be My Maybe.
No, that was the bonus one. We did another one. I'm sorry.
Okay.
No, that's it. Point Break, Speed, The Matrix, John Wick.
John Wick.
And then we have a bonus episode that is coming out this coming Friday that nobody's expecting. And that one is Always Be My Maybe, which is not exactly a Keanu film, but he's in it making a cameo of himself, which is delightful. So we just decided to go with it.
That's such a sweet movie, and he's such a sweet guy. It's kind of, and he's not playing a sweet guy in this thing. He's like, it's weird. He's playing, like a lot of celebrities, he's playing a heightened version of himself, I'm sure. But
yeah, it's like weirdly jerky Keanu. So.
Well, when you're up against Randall Park.
But he's also kind of adorable, so, you go with it.
When you're up against Randall Park, you're going to look mean because he's the nicest guy in Hollywood.
Right.
But we've also got your competition from, I guess, like I said, is it Celtic or Celtic? I'm assuming you're going to be Celtic.
It's Celtic Ray Film Works.
Yeah.
It's a hard C.
Well, like I said, I'm from Boston. We didn't root for the Boston Celtics. We root for the Boston Celtics. So you got a new camera. What's Celtic Ray Film going to be doing in the year up ahead?
Right now, I'm still doing a podcast, Another White Guy with a Mic, which we're now moving to bi-weekly because I've been ridiculously busy with other stuff, and that's all the time I can devote to it. We got the new Canon 90D, which is means we can now shoot in 4K. I've got a new handheld rig coming in this week. Probably I'm going to be through May and June after I get my second shot. I'm going to be running more camera tests, practicing with it, getting more used to it. And we'll hopefully be restarting the filmmaking Patreon about July or August.
All
That's
right.
the plan so far.
Everyone will be vaccinated then. You can get homeless people off the streets because they'll be vaccinated too. So you'll have all kinds of cast members.
Well, we'll see.
Well, let's get on to the show. And that is when we start with the rules. And the rules have not changed, despite the fact that there is no longer a tournament. The rules are still pretty much the same as they've always been. And if I can just get to, there's always one glitch every show. The rules. I'm going to name an character, and you're going to give me the actor for that one. And then the best choice, decided by a triad of judges, gets a point. I'm playing along as well, so if you get Craig's secret selection, you get an additional point. Now, sometimes the best choice and my secret selection are not the same, and that is not, so don't expect to get 2 points right away, but let's be honest, my choice is almost always the best choice. Person with the most points wins, because this is how we do it in America. Yay! Yay, winners. And if there's a tie, a double feature to win, which is a segment on our show that we talk about, that we will get to if it needs to. But before we begin, like every show, the show is sponsored by Matinee Heroes, and this week we've got The Karate Kid with Billy Donnelly. And it's more like Cobra Kai with a little bit of Karate Kid mixed in, just for good luck as we start Epic 80s Month. So you can subscribe to the podcast at matineeheroes.com/subscribe, and you can subscribe to the video feed while you're there by going to matineeheroes.com/castoff. Also, one of the things we're doing this season on Thursdays, we will be reposting this show as an audio-only version exclusively on Matinee Heroes. All right. So let's get on to the impossible, and that is recasting Mrs. Doubtfire. Now, it's no secret Robin Williams was a personal hero of mine, and I mean, I was pretty much devastated like no other actor's death in the world. Like when Elvis Presley died, my grandmother was distraught, and I couldn't understand why because she'd never met him. I'd only seen him from a distance twice, once on the set of Jumanji, which I was very fortunate to be on in Keene, New Hampshire. And also, Heather and I got to see him live in Houston about 6 to 8 months before he passed. Now, he can do so much with so little, and that's why they say there's an NC-17 version of this movie out there. But let's squash the rumors. It's more like a rated R version for lots of off-color jokes by Rob, and I think NC-17 things got a little more than just verbal. So
Right.
we're gonna start off with the man of 1,000 characters, the man himself, Robin Williams, and we're gonna start with Liz. Liz, who do you have playing the man himself? The impossible mission starts now.
This is always a blast for me trying to put anyone in any kind of Robin Williams role, and I usually can't. But this time I thought of somebody who, for me, is a fantastic comedic actor, but also someone who can step into the role of another gender and you don't even notice that he's done it. And so I'm going with Jack Black.
Now, this is very good because we saw Jack do not the Clumps, but he did the horrible gassy family in Tropic Thunder. So he did all kinds of characters there. He's the lead singer of Tenacious D. He was in the Jumanji sequels. So there
As a teenage girl.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, he was acting as a teenage girl. We didn't see him as a teenage girl, which is the key in this whole thing. Kung Fu Panda, of course, and he had a part in Waterworld. Very good choice, because this is going to be the hardest part, is finding someone who can do all the characters. So that way we get to Richard. Richard, who do you have going up against the versatile Jack Black?
I went with Richard Dreyfuss, particularly kind of a Jaws, Close Encounters era Richard Dreyfuss.
Well, I got him just a slightly older than that. I got him in an
Always.
Yeah, I got an Always because he was a little too young to have that many kids and be divorced.
Good point. Yeah.
Though maybe these are the kids he walked away from in Close Encounter of the Third Kind. So I'm on your behalf. I'm wearing our Matinee Heroes Jaws shirt, which was a manatee coming up to bite a podcast listener. He was in Close Encounters of the Third Kind, The American President, Stand By Me. All four of those can be heard at Matinee Heroes. Of course, American Graffiti is where he got his big name. Everything up before that was just little tidbits. So we have the comedic force of Jack Black versus the talented acting chops of Richard Dreyfuss. Now, my pick is going to be controversial because a lot of people think that he may not have it anymore. But when I think of someone with a lot of characters in him, it's Eddie Murphy. I think Eddie Murphy, now that he's done some actual acting, like Dolomite is his name, maybe he would tone it down just a little bit, but I think he could do this. The judges confirmed. Go ahead. Did you say maybe?
I just said maybe.
Maybe. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt because I miss Eddie Murphy. We're going to do his, Beverly Hills Cop for Epic 80s Month, and he's fantastic on that. So we go with Jack Black for 1 point, Liz. Kicking it off.
Yay.
Well, next we get to the supremely lovely and supremely talented Sally Field. And, the older I get, I start to realize that she is not wrong. She in this movie, she's the bad guy, but we start to realize that maybe she's not as bad as everyone thinks. So,
Oh yeah, totally on her wavelength at this age.
I mean, hello, there's a horse peeing in the living room. So
Yeah, that scene I went, this film has some age issues.
Well, again, it's just the way to show the differences. But we're going to start with you, Richard. Who do you have playing the lovely Sally Field, who can not only play Tom Hanks's love interest in 1989, in less than 4 years later, she's going to play his mother?
I went with WandaVision's Catherine Hahn.
Absolutely.
She's terrific. She's got good comedy chops, and she could, she looks like, has that sort of face that says, I have suffered too much under the yoke of this man.
Well, and we've seen that face in Bad Moms. So yeah, absolutely. Liz, who do you have to do that? Who do you have to beat that?
Oh, it might be a close call on this one. I went with Tina Fey because I love her and she has amazing comedic timing. She can also play the straight-laced character when she needs to. She's done that against Amy Poehler in different movies. And so I think she would have a really good opportunity to play a little bit of both here. So.
Well, we call you Liz Lemon, so this may be a way to get an extra point, maybe. Playing on the emotional heartstrings.
Well, I didn't even think about that, to be honest, but I do love it. So always been Liz Lemon, and it's fine.
So we've got the lady of the moment, Catherine Hahn, who's been great all along. She's just only now been thrust into the public spotlight of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We've got Tina Fey, who's always been awesome. And I went with Tracy Ross from Blackish, because if you're going to have Eddie Murphy, I think she would make a great counterpoint because she plays exasperated very well as well. So the judges conferred, and Catherine Hahn continues the streak of being the go-to it girl of the now. So now we move on to Pierce Brosnan as Stu Dunmire. Now, it's 1993. You go to the short list of sexiest men alive, you go to pre-Bond, post-Remington Steele, Pierce Brosnan. So, Liz, who do you have playing what I would say a very good quality guy, a bachelor, that would be perfect? He likes the kids. He likes Sally Field. He's like the perfect guy. So who is your perfect guy for this movie?
So my perfect guy for this movie, I stuck with someone who's got the nice English accent and is very attractive and fun to be around. And I went with Tom Hiddleston.
Now, have you been around Tom?
I have. We spend a lot of time together.
Okay, so he's known for being mischievous. In the Avengers movies, he was really good in Kong Skull Island.
So good.
And I liked him. I mean, not everybody's going to like this movie, but this is the Hank Williams story. I Saw the Light. He was really talented in that. So it's kind of exciting to see how talented Tom Hiddleston is, and you'll see more of him in Loki starting in June. So now we move on to Richard. Who do you have playing the boyfriend to be the possible stepdad?
Well, again, I went for somebody who is also A, incredibly talented, B, incredibly nice, and C, a steaming hunk of man meat. I went with Chris Evans.
Yes, sir. Did you hear that? That was an of the highest order, because
that was a yummy sound,
because that's Chris Evans, America's ass. And of course we know him as Captain America. Very few people have been able to be in more than one Marvel movie. He was in the original Fast Four as Johnny Storm, but he's also done other things like Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. He was great as the bad guy in Knives Out. And of course we have to start somewhere, not another teen movie. So, the great Stu, we've got Tom Hiddleston, Chris Evans. We've got Loki versus Captain America. It's good versus evil.
Same as it ever was.
I went with Shamar Moore, because that's the noise a lot of people make when they say Shamar Moore. Everyone knows him. I know him from, Criminal Minds, and now he's on SWAT. Is he on something like that? I don't know. But
I knew him back from The Young and the Restless 100 years ago.
But
he's a favorite on Nerdy Bitches.
Yes,
so.
He's one of my wife's favorites as well. She didn't even like Criminal Minds, but she wanted to see Thomas Gibson, Mandy Patinkin, and really wanted to see Shamar Moore. Well, the judges hashed it out, and this one was really tough because this was a close one. But you got to give it to America's ass. That's the way it goes. And Richard takes the lead 2-1. Well, it's the 90s, and all comedies need some kind of quirky neighbor, a weird relative, so in comes Harvey Fierstein as Uncle Frank. Richard, who do you got as Harvey Fierstein's Uncle Frank?
Well, I went for somebody who has incredible comedy chops, and he has that kind of cuddly look about him, so I went with Patton Oswalt.
Now, this is a good take on this because we talked about this before the show. That particular character does not have to be gay. I think it was a sad statement of the time that they're trying to think, well, why would somebody have so much makeup? Well, they must be drag queens, and that's ridiculous. But I think Patton Oswalt is just like that. He's really good in like Big Fan and Young Adult. But if you've ever heard him do his voiceovers for like the Goldbergs and Ratatouille, he's really good. And of course, one of our favorite stand-ups of all time.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. This is perfect. This is a good buddy. He's a good buddy to have in a movie. If you've ever seen AP Bio, he's really good in that.
I would like to just have him as a buddy in real life. That'd be delightful.
Absolutely. And the way he and his daughter seem to be having fun all the time, he seems like a really sweet guy.
Mm-hmm.
So, Liz, who's better than Patton Oswalt?
I don't know about better than Patton Oswalt because he's pretty damn good. But I love Harvey Fierstein. I really do. And I loved him in this role, and I loved him in Independence Day. So this one for me was almost as hard as Robin Williams. But I did go, I went to what I find to be a little bitchy and a little cuddly, and I went Jesse Tyler Ferguson.
Now, my wife and I have just started rewatching in the last week Modern Family from day one. And his relationship he's Mitchell, and I can't remember the other guy's name. But
Cam?
Huh?
Maybe? Cam, that's right, Cameron. Those two guys are so funny together, but you can tell that they really care about each other. It's so sweet. And then you find out that like Sofia Varagas and Ed O'Neill are really good buddies too, and they're super sweet, even though they've got like this weird. It's a really nice family dynamic show. And of course, well, the funny thing is, like, I've actually never watched much of Modern Family, but I know him from. He steps in as like a guest judge on some of the shows that I watch. He's been on like The Masked Singer and So You Think You Can Dance and things like that. That I just love him as a person. He's really fun, so I thought he would be fun in this role.
Yeah, because I had a hard time making this slide because he's living off the residuals because he did Modern Family, he did Ice Age Collision Course, and he just kind of judges every once in a while, which is fine. I mean, I'm hoping that is his choice and not anybody else's, because that's a great way. Make your money on a great sitcom that goes for 11 years, put it in the bank, and just do what you want.
That's the dream.
That is the dream. So we got Frank Hillard, Uncle Frank. We've got Patton Oswalt. We've got Jesse Tyler Ferguson. I went with Titus Burgess. Now, Titus is from Kimmy Schmidt, and I think you can kind of see the pattern I'm going with. I went with a little diversity, and I think that if you're going to have someone in that position like Harvey Fierstein, I think Titus would be amazing at it.
I'd like to be best friends with him too.
I don't know. He seems like he could turn on a dime. I feel like he is bipolar. Like
but I could also turn on a dime. So.
Right. Well, so this is the makings of a murder-suicide. Great. Well, next is an odd choice because this woman was mostly cut from the movie. And
you won, by the way, Richard.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Richard. We went with Patton Oswalt. Yeah. Richard, you're up 3-1.
I would go with Patton Oswalt as well. So
yeah.
Well, like I said, next we went with a woman mostly cut from the movie. You can tell because this is the only picture I could find of her, and I'm not even sure this is from Mrs. Doubtfire.
Gloria.
Well, she was.
Remember it all.
So she was cut from the movie, and she was going to be the nosy neighbor that Robin could confide in. But we know in real life, as soon as she said anything to her, she was calling the cops. So they cut they cut those scenes from the movie. Now, she's played by Polly Holliday, and older folks like Richard and I, we know her as Flo from Alice.
Yep. Yes, Margaret.
Yeah, or the lady that
that
Gremlins got. But in this movie, she is Gloria. So we're going to start with Liz. Liz, who do you have playing basically what she is the nosy neighbor?
I love a good Gladys Kravitz kind of character. Big fan of the nosy neighbor, which is why I like just Catherine Hahn so much in WandaVision. But for Gloria, who I, again, had to look up because I did not remember that at all, I went with Mary Wicks. So you might know her from White Christmas or Sister Act later down the years. And I'm thinking more of a Sister Act age Mary Wicks because I just love her.
Absolutely. Oh. She's been around for forever. And I put 101 Dalmatians on there because she is the body model for Cruella de Vil.
Wow.
They used to,
Wow.
yeah. I did some research. Now she's
like
been in
that
a
on my
lot of
resume.
stuff. Now you can see the little hand in the picture. That hand is Angela Lansbury because she was in one episode of Murder, She Wrote, but then was in like kind of like the spin-off, not really a spin-off, but the spiritual cousin, The Father Dowling Mysteries. She is amazing, and this is a great pick. I like this. Personally, I like this one of all of them because it's out of left field, but it fits perfectly.
I got to put in a word too. I have the Abbott and Costello box set from Shout Factory, and she is in a very young version of her, is in a terrific A&B comedy called Who Done It, in which the boys get involved with a murder at a radio station. She's really funny with that, and she's got great chemistry with Bud.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, I love her so much in White Christmas, and she's playing the nosy innkeeper. So again, it just kind of works.
Yeah, she's kind of a nosy person. So, Richard, let's see who you've got.
I went with Rosemary Harris.
Ah, yes. Now, not to say that Mary Wick's not talented, but Rosemary Harris, on the other hand, is known for being an impeccable acting talent. I mean, she's got Tonys and she's got Emmys and she's got awards up the wazoo. But most of us know her as
Aunt May.
Aunt May. And so I was going to say May Parker. I was thinking of the last name, May Parker, in the Sam Raimi's Spider-Man movies. But she's been in things. I mean, she was Oscar nominated for Tom and Viv. She was in Mel Gibson's Hamlet. So she's been around forever. She's wonderful. So this one's really tough because you have two classy, really talented ladies.
And I do have to put in a quick word. She was also in Sidney Lumet's last film, Before the Devil Knows You're Dead.
That she got a lot of praise for that one as well.
That's a good one.
Well, we've got Gloria Cheney. This lady actually had a last name. They just called him Uncle Frank in the credits. I just assumed his last name was Hillard because he's Daniel's brother. So we got Mary Wicks, Rosemary Harris. I went with Diane Wiest.
I love her.
She's great. There's a show on CBS that has Colin Hanks and James Brolin, and I can't remember the name of it right now, but it's like little tiny snippets. And she is she's such kind of like a ditzy but sweet lady.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we talked it out, and Richard is taking a commanding lead.
Wow.
Dang, boy.
But we still have 2 categories left, which means there's a possibility of 4 points on the board. So let's continue on. Now we get to the boss, Mr. Lundy, who was unable to resist Daniel's charms as they're ripping into the human piece of drywall that is Mr. Jingles. Mr. Sprinkles, I mean. Now, this guy is the great character actor Robert Prosky from The Natural and other things. Richard, we'll start with you. Who do you have playing the big boss?
Well, I decided to also go with a beloved character actor, and I went with Bryan Cranston.
Now, there you go. Bryan Cranston. We know him because he's the one who calls out all the anti-dentites in the world. He is the voice in Isle of Dogs. He is inexplicably in Godzilla for no reason. He replaced Ronnie Cox in Total Recall the remake, and he was in the very first episode we ever did here at Matinee Heroes, John Carter, as a captain in the Civil War that John Carter sees before he launches himself to Mars. So Bryan Cranston has a long, storied history here at Matinee Heroes. Liz.
Yes.
Next. You got to bring it.
I went with everyone's favorite grandpa and dinosaur resurrector. I went with Richard Attenborough.
Absolutely.
Oh.
Not only does he look the part, but he's got the same kind of pep and spark that you like. He's known for funding illegal research, as he did in the Jurassic Park. Also, I say funding illegal research because in The Great Escape, he was kind of helping Steve McQueen get out. But not only is he a great talent on screen, he's a great talent behind the scenes, as we've seen him in Chaplin, and he directed Gandhi. And then I didn't realize this. I forgot. He was in the original Dr. Dolittle. So he's been everywhere.
That's a guilty pleasure of mine. I have a weakness for 60s big budget musicals that flop.
That's very specific.
I
have a weakness for talking, singing. So as Rex Harrison did in that whole movie, he didn't really sing. He just kind of talked his way through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have a fondness for Anthony Newley, too, so.
Well, we have Bryan Cranston, who's amazing. Richard Attenborough, who's amazing. Whose brother, David, is amazing. You've got a whole family of Attenboroughs that really are exceptional. I mean, these guys were, and they were both in the war. They both were just amazing. My pick was Robert De Niro because I thought he would be a good sounding board, especially during the date scene where he's trying to pick up Mrs. Doubtfire. But
I feel like he would just kill you if he was not impressed with your
right.
with your pitch.
well, the judges decided Richard Attenborough it is. So Liz scratching and clawing her way back 2 to 4, but there's still one category left, still a possibility of getting 2 points. And that ends with what I call the toughest lady in the movie, and that is Mrs. Sellner, the social worker. Do you think you're funny, Mr. Hilliard? Once, long ago.
I used to.
Yeah. She's perfectly played by Anne Haney. And so, Liz.
Yes.
The chips are down. It's time. It's go time. You've got to come up with somebody awesome because I have to like them too. So who do you have playing the social worker?
Mine was probably not something that you or any other human might pick. However, I went with current day, delightfully gray-haired Jamie Lee Curtis.
Now, Jamie Lee Curtis, as everybody knows, both Alan and I absolutely adore. She is someone that probably kickstarted off a lot of kids in the 80s puberty, especially in Trading Places and and then what was that? John Travolta. Perfect.
Yeah.
And then, of course, culminating with True Lies pole dance. But Jamie Lee Curtis has turned into this, she was always, but she's turned into this great, elegant, beautiful leading lady now. I could easily see her as Mrs. Sellner because she'd have that, I don't really take too much crap, but she's also got a sense of humor. So
that's the thing. She has a little bit of sass and a little bit of snark, and you need that in any kind of social worker, really, just so that they're not ready to jump out of every window they run across. So
yeah, and she can relate because all the Halloween movies, she's obviously a child of abuse.
Yeah.
Mental
She's
and
been in the foster home. So
yeah, exactly. Well, now you've got to do some blocking here. So who do you have to beat Jamie Lee Curtis?
Well, I went in kind of a different direction. I didn't confine myself to the age, but I wanted somebody who has that resting, not bitch face, but resting, I'm not here for your bullshit face. I went with Aubrey Plaza.
Well, I want to thank you for making us R-rated now. Trying to make sure this is for the kids.
Oh, I am on the show, so that automatically.
But this
is at least PG-13.
Yeah, but this is YouTube. This is not the regular podcast. Yes, she's known for the very snarky, dark characters. I'm not the biggest fan of hers.
I like her.
As I saw Ingrid Goes West, and I'm like, ugh, really? I mean, the movie was good, and Parks and Rec is good. I just don't really like her. So we have Jamie Lee Curtis. We have Aubrey Plaza. The judges decided that Jamie Lee Curtis is the correct choice. So now, Liz, it's up to our connection. I'm the one that gave you the name, Liz Lemon.
I know.
Jamie Lee Curtis is beloved, and I think you'd be great at this. She's a wonderful, sweet, beautiful lady. I think that's great, and I would definitely pick her. But we're going to take a moment to find out who you picked, who I picked in just a second, as I want to tell everybody that there is a new show coming out starting Monday, May 3rd at the Stolen Droid YouTube channel and at the website, the Monday Morning Memory Wipe. You know, the internet is full of useless information, tons of breaking news stories and articles, so much so there's no way you can see or read it all. Join me, Craig Bryce, each Monday morning as I highlight the past week's most important stories, debate the current topics, review the latest movies and more. We'll even give you some highlights of the upcoming week so you have something to look forward to. Also, you can delete the rest and start the week with room in your brain for more important things like puppy memes and TikTok videos. Head over to stolendroids.com and subscribe to the Monday Morning Memory Wipe. You can also follow us at Memory Wipe on Twitter and Morning Memory Wipe on Instagram. Life's too short to remember everything. Let us do it for you. So, Jamie Lee Curtis, goddess, sweetheart. She's married to Christopher Guest. She's got to be able to deal with maniac, creative people like Robin Williams.
Milking this like a Jersey heifer.
Jeez. Well, I went with Margot Martindale, and so who's wonderful in itself. But that means that take a drink, take a swig. You have won, Richard, and you are today's winner, and you have today's final thought.
As always, Liz, it was a great round. You came up with some wonderful choices. I'm always surprised when I win these things because I always think you are a worthy adversary, and I enjoyed spending the time with you.
Thank you.
Well, that was very sweet of you to give it all to. Well, let's see what's going on for next week. Next week, we have 2 newbies. That's right. On the Castoff to celebrate May 4th, we've got Elizabeth Rapp of Vet with the Pets. Absolutely. And filmmaker Tammy Anderson. They're going to try to get the plans to destroy the Death Star. That's right. May the 4th be with you with Rogue One, a Star Wars story. They're going to have some things they're going to need to work on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you enjoy the show, you can follow us at twitter.com. The Castoff Show, which is a new Twitter handle. You can go to the Facebook group Matinee Heroes. Also, for right now, until we get the magical number 100 subscribers, matineeheroes.com/Castoff gives you all the links to the video streams, including twitch.tv/Matinee Heroes. If you like the show and like to be on it, you can head over to matineeheroes.com/Castoff/applications. That's right, we're accepting contestant applications. We want to get new and exciting people because we have exciting people, but they're not new. We'd like to get as many people as possible because right now, all our subscribers are guests of the show. And if I can get 100 guests on, I can get 100 subscribers. You can also email me at mhcastoff@gmail.com. And I will probably just send you a link to the application. Special thanks to additional judges Brendan Agnew and last week's winner, Carrie Gordon. On behalf of our wonderful, wonderful guests, Liz Serna, and today's winner, Richard Jensen, I'm Craig Price, and you have been watching The Castoff.